Spirituality, greatness, that's sitting on a mountain meditating all day, isn't it? The Jewish people have just received the 10 Commandments. They've heard God speak. Imagine you were standing there thinking, what's coming next? What mitzvah could possibly follow that spiritual experience? And the next real body of laws the Jewish people hear is the laws of how you treat servants. What? Talk about a come down? I've just heard God speak the 10 Commandments, and now it's how to treat servants? What's going on? It's like you've spent time, you've climbed Mount Everest, you finally reached there, and someone gives a speech about cleaning your shoes afterwards. Like, what a come down. The answer is, Jewish greatness is bringing greatness out of others. It means looking at people who are vulnerable, looking at people who are less privileged than you, looking after them, empathizing with them, and trying to alleviate, to help them as best as possible. When my daughter was in year 4, a girl moved to her class from Argentina. A few weeks later, the girl comes up to her teacher and says, it's not fair. Everyone else is getting 80 and 90% in the weekly spelling test, but I'm getting 20 or 30. The teacher very sensitively hears out the girl and says, look, firstly, you're improving and that's what matters. Secondly, your first language isn't English. You're from Argentina, you only recently moved here. Your first language is, of course, not Argentinian, but Spanish. The next week, my daughter Miriam is revising for her spelling test. And something very odd happens. See, Miriam is clever, she gets things quickly, and she aces the weekly spelling test. But that week she comes running up to me and says, Daddy, I need help. I'm thinking, really? Okay. She shows me the list of words, and this week they're not in English, they're in Spanish. The teacher had sensitively set the tests for the whole class, not in English, not Argentinian, but in Spanish, to make that girl feel good about herself. Everyone learnt the lesson that week. You care about people who are more vulnerable, you care about people who are in a less fortunate position than you, and you do something about it. In our own lives, we meet and come across a lot of people. We can't live on our own islands and say, spirituality means taking care of me and no one else. In fact, our rabbis tell us that the greatness of God is not that he can do whatever he wants, is not that he's all-powerful, which of course he is. The greatness of God is that he interacts with the world. He deals with people. Even though they are much less privileged, they are much less powerful than him, he deals with them and he gives to them. Spirituality is noticing them, noticing people who are more vulnerable, maybe less talented, maybe less gifted, maybe even less privileged, and looking after them. If God can care for the small guys, then we can do that too. Be great, be a giver, because spirituality is caring for the vulnerable. Shabbat Shalom.